The red world of Mars turns slowly beneath a veil of dust. Its surface, scarred by canyons deeper than Earth's oceans and mountains taller than Everest, is wrapped tonight in a storm the size of a continent. Fine grains of iron-rich sand swirl in the thin atmosphere, catching the faint light of a distant sun and scattering it into muted shades of crimson and gold. For billions of years, Mars has kept its silent vigil, a frozen desert suspended between the orbits of Earth and Jupiter. But this time, it is not alone. High above the planet's horizon, cutting across the darkness with a ghostly persistence, a new traveler has arrived. Astronomers call it 3I Atlas, the third confirmed object to come from beyond our solar system. Unlike our familiar comets and asteroids, which circle the sun like clockwork, this one is an interstellar vagabond, an uninvited guest drifting in from the cold and endless night between the stars. Its path is strange, its motion unsettling. And for those who watch the skies, its presence near Mars feels less like a discovery and more like a warning. Objects like this are supposed to be rare, so rare, in fact, that until just a few years ago, humanity had never seen one. Our first glimpse came in 2017, when an elongated shard of rock, later named Oumuamua, swept past the sun. It moved too fast to belong here, its orbit betraying its origin from another star. At first, scientists thought it was a comet, but it never released a trail of ice or vapor. Instead, it accelerated in a way that gravity alone could not explain, slipping quietly back into the abyss as quickly as it had come. The second visitor, 2I Borisov, discovered in 2019, was easier to classify. It looked like a comet, behaved like a comet, and then it too was gone, slinging itself out of the solar system, back to the void. And now, the third, 3I Atlas. Its approach has been quieter, its detection delayed until it was already closing in on the orbit of Mars. Unlike Oumuamua, it has not rushed past. Instead, it seems to linger, as if watching. To imagine the scale of this encounter, picture it this way. Our solar system is a vast, fragile bubble of light adrift in a cosmic ocean. The nearest stars are trillions of miles away. For something to break through that ocean and find its way here, to pass so near to one of our planets, is not just chance. It is improbable, almost impossible. And yet, here it is. The telescopes that caught its movement describe it as a massive, elongated body, its surface glinting with strange reflections, as if coated in materials unfamiliar to us. Behind it trails a faint ribbon of teal-green light, glowing against the black backdrop of space. At first glance, one might dismiss it as a simple comet tail, but the glow persists even when it moves farther from the sun, as though the light comes from within. To the naked eye, standing on the surface of Mars beneath its thin skies, the object would appear enormous, hovering low above the horizon, a silent stone adrift in the heavens, a sight both beautiful and deeply unsettling. What makes this presence truly terrifying is not its size nor its glow, but its silence. No radio signal, no trace of activity detectable by our instruments, only its movement, deliberate yet inexplicable. Why here? Why Mars? For centuries, Mars has been humanity's mirror of fear and ambition. Ancient cultures saw it as a god of war, a red beacon foretelling bloodshed. In more recent times, telescopes revealed patterns on its surface that early astronomers mistook for canals, an illusion that sparked dreams or nightmares of civilizations waiting there. And now, in the era of space exploration, Mars has become our chosen destination, the planet we imagine one day colonizing. Perhaps it is coincidence that 3I Atlas drifts close to this world of myths and dreams. Or perhaps there is something deeper, a resonance between our stories of the past and the mysteries of the present. The question hangs in the air. What is 3I Atlas? Is it a natural fragment torn from some shattered planet in a distant star system? wandering aimlessly until chance carried it to us? Or is it something more a relic of intelligence, perhaps dormant, perhaps observing? Science is cautious. The language of astronomy is built on precision, probabilities, and evidence. But beyond the equations, there lingers a sense of unease, a whisper of something we cannot quite measure. For the first time in history, an interstellar visitor is not rushing through. It has slowed, drifting near Mars, as if pausing to consider its next move. And in that pause, humanity feels a chill. Imagine standing at a window, watching a stranger pass your home. If they hurry along, you feel nothing. But if they stop at your gate, silent and still, you begin to wonder. Are they lost? Curious? Or do they have some hidden purpose? That is the feeling 3I Atlas has left upon us. And so, beneath the thin skies of Mars, under dust storms older than human civilization, the red planet now shares its orbit with a visitor from beyond the stars. A visitor that does not explain itself. A visitor that does not leave. The silence grows heavier the longer it lingers. In the stillness of space, questions echo louder than answers. What drives an interstellar wanderer to pause here, of all places? What forces shape its path? And is it truly silent, or are we simply unable to hear? The answers lie not only in the cold equations of physics, but in the way we choose to interpret the unknown. For as long as humanity has looked upward, the sky has been both a canvas of wonder and a mirror of fear. And with 3I Atlas, the story begins again. But to understand why this silent visitor unsettles us so deeply, we must step back and widen our gaze. Beyond Mars, beyond our sun, and into the vast stage of the cosmos itself. The story of 3I Atlas cannot be told by looking at Mars alone. To truly understand its presence, we must step back, far back, until the red planet becomes just a point of light circling a faint yellow star. We must widen our gaze to the grand stage upon which the silent visitor drifts, the cosmos itself. Space is vast in a way that defies human imagination. We can measure it, we can write the numbers, but we cannot feel them. Our world, with its oceans and continents, is a small sphere just over 12,000 kilometers across. The distance between Earth and Mars, depending on their orbits, can stretch more than 200 million kilometers. Already that number feels incomprehensible, a gulf wider than any frontier we have ever crossed. And yet, when placed against the backdrop of interstellar space, even that distance vanishes into nothing. The nearest star system, Alpha Centauri, is more than 4 light-years away. To cross that gulf with today's technology would take tens of thousands of years longer than the span of human civilization itself. Beyond that, stars scatter across the Milky Way in numbers too great to count, each orbited by planets we will never see with our own eyes. The distances are so great that even light, the fastest traveler in the universe, struggles. A ray of sunlight takes just 8 minutes to reach Earth. But to leave the Milky Way galaxy, it would need 100,000 years. It is within this ocean of emptiness that 3I Atlas was born, and through which it has traveled. A lonely wanderer, adrift for perhaps millions, perhaps billions of years, before it found its way to the tiny bubble of planets we call home. This is what makes its presence so strange. The cosmos is not crowded. On the contrary, it is desolate. If you could stand in interstellar space, between the stars, you would see nothing but blackness. You could drift for eons without ever passing another world. And yet here we are, witnessing the third interstellar object to ever cross into our solar system. The odds alone should stagger the imagination. Why now? Why so close together after billions of years of silence? Are we simply learning to see what has always been there? Or has something shifted in the unseen patterns of the galaxy? Astronomers remind us that our solar system is not a closed fortress. It is more like an island with porous shores. Comets and asteroids wander in from the outer darkness. Dust and particles drift constantly through the sun's magnetic field, we are not as isolated as we once believed. Still, an object from another star is different. It carries with it the memory of distant suns, the chemistry of alien worlds, perhaps even the echoes of civilizations we will never know. Each interstellar visitor is a message in a bottle, cast adrift upon an endless sea. Most bottles are lost forever. A rare few wash up upon our shore, and every time one does, we are reminded of how little we truly understand. There is a humbling irony here. For centuries, humanity believed itself the center of the universe. We imagined the cosmos revolving around us. But as our telescopes grew stronger, our place shrank. First, we learned Earth was just another planet. Then, that our sun was just another star. And now, even our solar system is revealed to be a mere speck among hundreds of billions. From this perspective, 3I Atlas is both ordinary and extraordinary. Ordinary because it is just one fragment in a galaxy filled with trillions. Extraordinary because against such overwhelming emptiness, it found its way here, into our sight, into our story. The rarity of these encounters is not only statistical, it is existential. For if visitors from the stars are this uncommon, what are the chances that life itself is common? What are the chances that intelligence endures long enough to reach across the void? Astronomers frame this puzzle as the Fermi paradox. If the universe is so vast, where is everyone? Why do the stars remain silent? Perhaps 3I Atlas is not an answer, but a clue. A reminder that the silence of space is not proof of emptiness, only of distance. Perhaps civilizations rise and fall, their signals fading before they cross the gulfs between stars. Perhaps only fragments remain, rocks, debris, artifacts drifting through eternity. And when one such fragment drifts near our world, it is as if the curtain of the cosmic stage pulls back for a moment, offering us a glimpse of a drama too large to comprehend. There is another way to see it. Imagine the universe not as empty, but as a vast theater. The stars are its lights. The planets are its sets. And between them, travelers occasionally wander across the stage. To us, each visitor feels like a singular event, isolated and rare. But from the perspective of deep time, it may be part of a pattern we cannot yet recognize. We measure our lives in years, our histories in centuries, our civilizations in millennia. The galaxy measures in billions. Against that scale, our entire existence is the blink of an eye. What then might we be missing? What patterns unfold so slowly that we, with our brief lifespans, cannot see them? And could 3I Atlas be part of such a pattern, one that stretches across epochs, unnoticed until now? The cosmic stage is vast, and we are but a fleeting presence upon it. And yet, it is precisely this stage that makes each visitor, each anomaly, so haunting. For in the infinite silence of space, even the faintest echo feels profound. 3I Atlas is more than a rock, more than a comet. It is a messenger from the unknown, carrying with it the weight of scale, the reminder that we are small, fragile, and temporary, and that the universe is far greater than we dare imagine. And so, before we ask what 3I Atlas is, we must first ask who we are, creatures who name the unknown in order to make sense of it. Which brings us to the next part of our journey, why we call this visitor what we do. When faced with the unknown, humanity has always reached for the same instinctive tool, the act of naming. It is a way of drawing a line in the darkness, of bringing shape to what feels formless. To name something is not just to identify it, it is to make it part of our story, to place it in the fragile order of human understanding. And so, when the object now drifting near Mars was first detected, astronomers gave it a name, 3I Atlas. At first glance, it seems clinical, a string of letters and numbers, precise but cold. Yet even this seemingly sterile label carries meaning, woven with history, tradition, and a quiet human hope to understand. The 3I tells us it is the third known interstellar object ever to pass through our solar system. The first was 1I Oumuamua, the enigmatic shard discovered in 2017. The second was 2I Borisov, sighted in 2019. And now, the third, this strange lingering visitor near Mars. The Atlas portion reveals the telescope array that first spotted it, the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, stationed on Earth to search the skies for near-Earth hazards. A system designed to protect us from wandering asteroids instead became the one to notice a wanderer from the stars. Thus, the name tells a story. It places this object within a sequence, links it to the eyes that found it, and situates it in the broader lineage of cosmic discoveries. But beyond the scientific shorthand lies something deeper. Naming is more than cataloging. It is our attempt to weave the unknown into the fabric of human meaning. Consider the first visitor, Oumuamua. The name was chosen from Hawaiian, meaning a messenger from afar arriving first. It was poetic, resonant with both mystery and reverence. A reminder that this shard from another star was not just an object, it was a visitor, carrying a story older than ours. The second, Borisov, bore the name of the amateur astronomer who discovered it. A reminder of the individual behind the telescope, a human being gazing into the night sky and catching sight of something that would outlive empires. And now, 3I Atlas, less poetic, more technical, but perhaps more humbling. It reminds us that in the end, we are not the heroes of this story. Our machines, our networks of instruments, are now the ones who first notice the strange and the silent. The human eye alone is no longer enough. There is a curious irony here. Throughout history, the act of naming the heavens has often been wrapped in myth and meaning. The Babylonians named planets after gods. The Greeks and Romans saw Mars, Jupiter, and Venus as living deities, their motions across the sky divine messages written in light. Even comets, with their trailing fire, were given names that tied them to omens of war or fate. To name was to interpret, to ascribe purpose. But in the modern age, we name differently. Numbers, codes, acronyms, labels that strip away story, leaving only sequence and category. We might think of this as progress, as a cleansing of superstition. Yet perhaps, in the sterility of such labels, we lose something. For deep down, does not every name still carry with it a hidden longing? When we say 3I Atlas, we are not just saying the third interstellar object spotted by Atlas. We are whispering, here is another messenger. Here is another fragment of the great beyond, drifting into our fragile sphere of awareness. There is weight in naming. To name something is to draw it closer to us, to make it less alien. But it also raises the question, what if we name too quickly? What if our labels blind us to what the object truly is? Imagine for a moment if ancient people had named Oumuamua not as a messenger, but as a weapon. How differently we might have felt. Or imagine if 3I Atlas had been christened with a name from mythology, a name tied to fate or silence. Our stories about it might already be changing. Science seeks precision, but human beings seek meaning. And in the space between those two instincts, the act of naming becomes more than technical, it becomes philosophical. Perhaps that is why 3I Atlas feels unsettling. Unlike the lyrical poetry of Oumuamua, its designation feels clinical, detached. A code in a catalog. And yet, when spoken aloud, Atlas conjures its own myth. Atlas, in Greek legend, was the Titan condemned to carry the heavens upon his shoulders for eternity. A figure of immense strength, burdened with the weight of the sky. Could there be a more fitting shadow for this interstellar wanderer? A silent stone bearing the weight of cosmic distance, carrying with it the heavens of another sun? Perhaps the astronomers who named it did not intend this resonance. Perhaps it is coincidence. But human imagination cannot help but fill the silence with echoes of myth. In the end, the name 3I Atlas tells us two things at once. It is a label of science, placing the object neatly in a sequence of discoveries. But it is also, unintentionally, a whisper of myth, evoking images of endurance, of weight, of silent struggle beneath the stars. This duality mirrors our own nature. We are creatures of reason, but also of story. We catalog the unknown, but we also dream about it. And in doing so, we reveal as much about ourselves as we do about the cosmos. The act of naming three Atlas is, in a sense, our first attempt to bring it into our story. But the truth is, a name can only do so much. Behind the label still lingers the silence, the uncertainty, a sense of being watched by something that does not speak. And so we are left with a question. Does giving a name to the unknown make it less terrifying or more so? To answer that, we must look backward into history, into the stories of ancient eyes who gazed upward and saw signs in the heavens. For humanity has always wrestled with the sky and with the meaning of visitors who arrive unannounced. Long before telescopes, before satellites, before the quiet hum of radio waves filled the night sky, humanity looked upward with naked eyes. And what we saw there shaped our myths, our fears, and our destinies. The heavens were never silent to the ancients. Every wandering star, every streak of light, every sudden appearance of a comet was interpreted as a message, sometimes hopeful, sometimes terrifying, always meaningful. Tonight, as 3IA TLS lingers near Mars, it is tempting to believe we are different, that our scientific age has freed us from superstition. Yet if we look closely, we will see that our reactions echo those of our ancestors. The unknown above us still stirs the same mix of awe and dread. In Babylon, thousands of years ago, priests studied the skies from the tops of ziggurats. They recorded the movements of the stars with painstaking care, believing that the heavens were a tablet upon which the gods wrote their will. A comet flaring suddenly across the night was no random event. It was an omen, a warning of wars to come or kings soon to fall. In China, comets were called broom stars, sweeping across the heavens to cleanse or to curse. Ancient astronomers there recorded more than 2 millennia of sightings, often linking them with famine, earthquakes, or political upheaval. The appearance of such celestial wanderers was so feared that entire dynasties trembled at their passing. And in Europe, Halley's comet was seen as both herald and executioner. In 1066, it was painted into the Bayeux tapestry, a fiery sign in the sky on the eve of William the Conqueror's invasion of England. Was it chance? Or did people simply see in the heavens what they feared or hoped on earth? But not every celestial visitor was seen as doom. The Star of Bethlehem, whether a comet, a planetary alignment, or a miracle, became a symbol of guidance, a light leading travelers to revelation. To Polynesian navigators, the stars were not omens, but maps faithful guides across vast oceans. And to the Maya, Venus was a clock, marking sacred cycles of war and peace. The sky was both mirror and compass, a reflection of human concerns and a tool for human survival. In this way, we see the double face of celestial visitors. They could be destroyers, announcing chaos, or they could be guides, offering direction. What they always were, however, was meaningful, never silent, never without purpose. So when we today encounter a visitor like 3IATLAS lingering silently near Mars, is it any wonder that beneath our science, an older instinct awakens? The language of probability and orbit cannot fully silence the whisper that says, "This means something. The parallel is striking." In Babylon, priests wrote of fiery omens, foretelling the rise and fall of kings. In our time, headlines speculate about alien probes and hidden intentions. Ancient Chinese astronomers saw broom stars sweeping doom across dynasties. Modern astronomers write of interstellar objects carrying with them the possibility of life or of extinction. Different words, different tools, but the same underlying response. The sky has changed, therefore so might our fate. It is worth asking, Why do we react this way? Why do visitors from the heavens stir such primal emotion? Perhaps it is because the sky, for most of human history, was the one constant. The mountains eroded, rivers shifted, cities rose and fell, but the stars remained. Their patterns were steady, predictable, eternal. And so, when something unusual appeared, when the steady map was disturbed, it felt like a breach in the order of the world. To the ancients, such a breach could only mean divine intervention. To us, it means anomaly, mystery, a disruption of the expected. But whether in temples or in laboratories, the feeling is the same. The cosmos has done something unusual, and we must respond. There is a strange comfort in this continuity. We may cloak our fears in scientific language, but we are still the same creatures who once stood in fields and deserts, staring upward with wonder and unease. Our stories have changed, but our hearts have not. When we say, Three-Eye Atlas has slowed unnaturally, we are not so far from the Babylonian priests saying, the comet has lingered too long. When we wonder if it could be a probe, we are not so far from the Chinese scholar who feared the broom star might sweep away his dynasty. The unknown in the sky is always a mirror reflecting our deepest anxieties, our ambitions, our need for meaning. And so, history becomes more than a record. It becomes a warning and a guide. For every time humanity has encountered a strange light in the sky, our stories have shaped our response. Sometimes those responses led to fear and chaos. Other times, they led to exploration and discovery. Which path will Three-Eye Atlas lead us down? That remains uncertain. But one thing is clear. As long as the heavens reveal visitors we cannot explain, humanity will continue to tell stories about them. Stories that reveal not just what is out there, but who we are. We might imagine an ancient scribe, thousands of years ago, scratching onto clay the sudden appearance of a fiery star. He could not know that his words would echo across millennia, paralleled by scientists writing today of an object called Three-Eye Atlas. Both are doing the same thing, preserving the moment when the sky shifted, when the universe reminded us of its mystery. But while history gives us echoes of awe and dread, the present gives us something more immediate in observation that unsettled astronomers from the very start. For as Three-Eye Atlas approached Mars, it did something no rock or comet should ever do. At first, it was nothing more than a data point, a number buried in the endless stream of observations astronomers collect each night. The trajectory of Three-Eye Atlas was plotted, checked, and cross-checked. It was supposed to follow the simple logic of celestial mechanics, obeying the same laws that govern comets, asteroids, and planets. But then, something shifted. The numbers whispered what the eye could not see. The object was slowing down. Not much, just a fraction. Just enough to raise eyebrows at first. A tiny discrepancy in velocity. But in the unforgiving mathematics of orbital dynamics, even the smallest deviation can echo like thunder. Because objects in space do not just slow down. The silence that followed was heavy. At observatories around the world, astronomers double-checked their instruments. Was it an error in calibration? A distortion in the data? Perhaps Mars' thin atmosphere had brushed against the object, dragging it imperceptibly, like a feather skimming across water? No, the numbers were too consistent. The effect too clear. What they were seeing was not drag, not gravity, not the natural path of a stone drifting through the void. It was something else. To understand the unease this created, we must remember what an interstellar object is supposed to be. A fragment of rock, or perhaps ice, wandering between the stars for millions of years. Moving fast, faster than almost anything else we can observe, because only such speeds allow it to escape the grip of its home star. When Oumuamua streaked through our solar system in 2017, it came and went in the blink of an eye. Borisov followed in 2019, its icy tail blazing with the unmistakable mark of a comet. But 3I-ATLAS was different. Instead of racing past, it lingered. Instead of speeding onward, it seemed impossibly to hesitate. Slowing in space without propulsion is nearly unthinkable. A comet might appear to adjust its motion as jets of gas erupt from beneath its surface, creating subtle nudges. But 3I-ATLAS showed no such tail, no shining plume, no evidence of the natural processes that explain away such mysteries. It was simply slowing. The effect was subtle enough that the public did not yet know. Only the astronomers, watching the numbers, felt the creeping realization. Their conversations began cautiously, in whispers and private emails. Words like non-gravitational acceleration appeared in reports, dry and technical. But behind those words was an unspoken truth. Something about 3I-ATLAS was behaving as though it were being controlled. What does it mean for an object to act against the natural pull of gravity? It means that some hidden force is at work. On Earth, we would call it propulsion. A plane, a ship, a rocket, all are machines that defy gravity's pull by creating thrust. In the vast emptiness of space, however, only deliberate action can create such a deviation. Randomness does not decelerate. Time does not hesitate. And so, with each recalculation of its trajectory, the unease grew. For the astronomers, this was more than an academic puzzle. If 3I-ATLAS was slowing down, then its path was no longer predictable. Its rendezvous with Mars might not be a coincidence of gravity, but the result of intent. And intent meant agency. Imagine staring into the night sky and realizing that a stone falling through the air has suddenly chosen not to fall. That is what the data implied. And if something can choose, then it is no mere stone. Of course, caution demanded restraint. No scientist would openly declare the unthinkable. Instead, possibilities were offered, theories stacked like fragile cards. Could it be outgassing, like a comet's jets, invisible to our instruments? Could a magnetic field, perhaps from Mars itself, be tugging against its motion? Or could it be a trick of observation, a mirage born of distance and light? Yet the more they tested, the more these explanations faltered. No evidence of gas, no strong magnetic field, no error in the instruments. The simplest explanation, the one they could not say aloud, remained hovering in the background, unspoken yet undeniable. And here, the human imagination took over. Some whispered of alien probes, machines disguised as stones, slowing deliberately to observe. Others remembered the theories surrounding Oumuamua, that its acceleration might have been artificial, a solar sail catching starlight. If the first interstellar visitor was strange and the second was natural, then perhaps the third was something in between, an answer or a test. The terrifying signal was not a message in radio waves. It was not a flash of light or a sound in the darkness. It was the simplest, most chilling signal of all, a refusal to behave as expected, a choice made against the current of physics itself. The dread spread quietly. For scientists, the nightmare was not contact, but implication. If 3I-ATLAS was slowing, then it was no passive traveler. It was an actor on the cosmic stage. And actors have reasons. Mars, dusty and silent, became the focus of a story it had not chosen. For the object was not racing past into the black as it should. It was converging, slowing, aligning, as though preparing to meet the red planet. And so, in the stillness of observatories, men and women who had spent their lives measuring the stars found themselves confronted with an ancient, primal fear that the sky was not empty after all, that something was looking back. There is a moment in every great mystery where data becomes story, where numbers turn into whispers, and whispers turn into fear. The slowing of 3I-ATLAS was that moment. It was the first true signal, not sent, not received, but perceived. A signal written in gravity and hesitation, in the unnatural pause of a stone that should never have paused. It was a signal that asked a question no one was ready to answer. What if we are not alone? And what if they are already here? But as unsettling as this signal was, it was only the beginning. For when scientists looked closer, they realized that the object's very shape carried its own mystery, an enigma that deepened the fear already stirring across the world. In the language of the cosmos, motion is law. Every planet, every moon, every drifting rock obeys the same simple rules, etched into existence since the birth of the universe. These are the rules of orbital mechanics, the mathematics of movement under gravity's spell. From the smallest pebble to the mightiest gas giant, nothing is exempt. A comet streaks inward, pulled by the sun, its speed rising with inevitability. An asteroid slingshots around Jupiter, its trajectory curved but predictable. The equations hold. They always hold. And yet, with 3I Atlas, they did not. Astronomers had expected a clean arc. The object should have approached Mars, gathered speed, and continued on, flung outward once more into the interstellar night. But instead, its velocity stuttered. Its path bent in ways the equations could not account for. To the untrained eye, the difference was small. To scientists, it was enormous. Because in space, there is no friction, no air, no invisible hand to slow you down. An object born of the stars should sail unhindered until eternity. Only a force deliberate or otherwise could change that. History offered precedents, but each with an explanation. When Oumuamua slipped through our system in 2017, it too puzzled observers. Its trajectory showed slight deviations, subtle accelerations that could not be explained by gravity alone. The debate raged. Was it the outgassing of a comet, invisible jets of vapor nudging it along? Or was it something stranger, perhaps a thin sheet, a solar sail harnessing the pressure of starlight? In the end, the scientific consensus settled uneasily on natural explanations. But the whispers remained. What if? Now, with 3I Atlas, the whispers returned louder, sharper, more insistent. Because here, the effect was not acceleration, but deceleration. And that was far harder to explain away. To slow down in space requires energy. That paradox alone haunted the data. A rock cannot simply decide to lose momentum. It must shed it through resistance, through thrust, through a mechanism that transfers its motion into something else. But there was nothing visible. No plume, no flare, no scattering of debris. Just a silent hesitation, as though the universe itself had skipped a beat. Scientists began to speculate about sources of energy hidden from our eyes. Could 3I Atlas harbor vast reservoirs of volatile ice, venting in ways invisible at a distance? Perhaps, yet every test failed to reveal even the faintest signature. No carbon monoxide jets, no trails of dust. Could magnetic interactions be at play? Mars does not possess a global magnetic field strong enough to drag an interstellar traveler from its course. Its atmosphere is thin, incapable of slowing even the smallest asteroid at such high speeds. Every explanation ended the same way. Not enough. Not enough force. Not enough evidence. Not enough reason. The very physics that guided human missions to the moon, to Mars, to the edges of the solar system itself, seemed inadequate here. Orbital mechanics had been a faithful companion for centuries. With Newton, we learned to predict the heavens. With Einstein, we refined the curves of space-time itself. Spacecraft traveled billions of miles on equations alone, arriving with uncanny precision at the worlds they sought. And yet, here was a visitor that defied those very equations. It was as though a ship had been sighted in the ocean, sailing against the current with no sails, no oars, no engine visible, moving not with the tide, but against it. Such things do not happen naturally. The implications spread like ripples. If 3I Atlas was slowing, then it was not simply matter obeying laws. It was matter obeying something else. A hidden principle, a hidden hand. Some invoked the Pioneer anomaly, a mysterious deviation in the trajectories of spacecraft observed decades ago. For years, it was thought to be evidence of new physics, of unseen forces tugging at the edges of our knowledge. Eventually, the cause was revealed. Tiny amounts of heat emitted from the craft itself, nudging it ever so slightly. A mundane solution to a cosmic puzzle. Could 3I Atlas have a mundane solution? Possibly, but if so, it lay beyond what we could see, beyond what our instruments could detect. The lack of an answer became, in itself, an answer of sorts. Others asked darker questions. What if the object was not shedding energy but using it? What if it slowed because it was harvesting something solar radiation, magnetic currents, or even the gravitational tides of Mars itself? The notion sounded like science fiction, yet the equations demanded explanation. Energy was changing hands. Something was at work. And so, a simple observation became a terrifying riddle. If 3I Atlas obeyed laws we did not yet understand, then our knowledge of the cosmos was incomplete. If it obeyed laws we did understand, but chose to bend them, then it was not a stone, it was a machine. Either way, the physics we trusted seemed suddenly fragile, as if the foundations of our certainty had cracked. In hushed discussions, some scientists admitted what most dared not say publicly. The slowing of 3I Atlas might be the clearest sign yet of artificial origin. That possibility, though unproven, lingered like a shadow across every dataset, every recalculated orbit. It was not proof, but it was suggestion. And suggestion, in this case, was enough to stir fear. Because if the object was artificial, then the question was no longer what is it, but why is it here? The physics that should not be had become the signal that could not be ignored. In its hesitation, 3I Atlas had revealed something we were not ready to face, that our laws are not the universe's laws, and that perhaps out there, someone else was playing by rules of their own. But the puzzle of motion was only part of the mystery. For as telescopes sharpened their gaze, and images resolved in greater detail, the very shape of 3I Atlas came into view, and what they saw defied expectation even further. When news of 3I Atlas first spread among astronomers, a familiar name surfaced almost immediately: Oumuamua, the first interstellar visitor ever recorded. A word that means scout or messenger in Hawaiian. A silent traveler that slipped through our solar system in 2017 and was gone before we had time to understand it. Like 3I Atlas, Oumuamua broke the rules, and in its wake, it left questions that have never been answered. At first, it seemed simple enough: a rock, a fragment cast loose from some distant star. But as telescopes followed its path, the data told a stranger story. Oumuamua's orbit revealed that it had not been born of our sun. It came from elsewhere, an interstellar interloper, carrying with it the history of another world, another system, perhaps even another age. Its shape was elongated, unlike any asteroid we had ever seen. Estimates suggested a cigar or pancake form, 10 times longer than it was wide, tumbling end over end as it passed. Light reflected off it in puzzling ways, as if its surface were unusually smooth, unusually bright. And then there was the most troubling detail of all. As it departed, it appeared to accelerate. This was not the wild jetting of a comet, releasing gas and dust. No tail could be seen. No plume betrayed its movement. Yet it moved as though something had pushed it. Scientists scrambled for answers. Some suggested hydrogen ice, sublimating invisibly in the heat of the sun, propelling it forward. Others argued for a thin, flat body, perhaps only meters thick, that could ride on the faint pressure of starlight, like a sail drifting in the wind of the cosmos. And in the quiet corners of the discussion, one possibility lingered: that Oumuamua was no natural object at all, that it was perhaps a probe, a relic, or even a fragment of alien technology. The idea was provocative, unsettling, and for many, unacceptable. Science prefers the ordinary over the extraordinary. Natural explanations are safer, tidier, more in line with what we know. To leap toward the artificial would be to step into speculation, into stories rather than facts. And so, while the debate raged, Oumuamua itself slipped away too fast, too faint, beyond the reach of our instruments. It left us with nothing but questions, and the uneasy sense that our first glimpse of the interstellar beyond was anything but ordinary. And now, years later, 3I Atlas had arrived, the third interstellar visitor. The first Oumuamua had accelerated. The second Borisov had blazed a perfectly natural comet's trail. And the third? It was slowing down. Acceleration, normality, deceleration. 3 messengers, each with a different story. A sequence that felt less like randomness and more like progression. The echoes of Oumuamua were impossible to ignore. Both objects had confounded orbital mechanics. Both had exhibited behaviors that natural explanations struggled to contain. Both had stirred speculation about what lies between the stars. And above all, both had carried that unsettling sense of intent, as if they were not simply passing through, but performing. Scientists revisited their old debates in light of the new. Was 3I Atlas another thin sail-like structure, slowing instead of speeding under the pressure of light? Or was it a heavier, denser object with mechanisms hidden beneath its surface? Could it be that these visitors were fragments of ancient machines, drifting between stars, sometimes functioning, sometimes broken? Or could they be something even stranger, natural bodies that had been shaped over eons by forces we do not yet understand? Theories multiplied like stars, each offering an answer, but none providing certainty. And yet, to those who remembered Oumuamua, the feeling was undeniable. This was déjà vu, the sense of history repeating itself. Another messenger arriving, another puzzle unsolved, another shadow cast on our certainty of the cosmos. It was as though Oumuamua had been the prologue, and 3I Atlas the next chapter. One accelerated, one slowed. Both had stepped outside the rules. Both had left us with the same haunting thought, that perhaps, in the vast silence of space, someone or something was sending signals. For the public, these echoes became fertile ground for imagination. Were we being observed, tested, measured? Was each visitor a different kind of probe, one racing past, one imitating a comet, one hovering near Mars? Or was the pattern an illusion, a trick of coincidence and interpretation, born of our own need to find meaning in the unknown? The truth, of course, remained beyond reach. But in comparing the two, in holding Oumuamua and 3I Atlas side by side, one could not help but feel the stirring of a deeper story, one in which humanity is not the sole author. We were not merely observers of cosmic wanderers. We were participants in a narrative unfolding across time and space, one that began long before us and may continue long after we are gone. But shape and trajectory were not the only mysteries. For as astronomers gathered more data, they began to ask a question that touched on something even more profound. What exactly was 3I Atlas made of? And why did its surface reflect light in ways no natural body should? If the strange behavior of 3I Atlas had occurred anywhere else in the solar system, perhaps it would have been easier to dismiss. A curious anomaly, yes, but one without symbolic weight. Yet the object chose to hesitate near Mars, the red planet, the world humanity has always looked to with both fascination and fear. From the very beginning, Mars has been a mirror for our imagination. Its ruddy glow in the night sky has always stood apart, a restless ember among the calm lights of the heavens. To the Babylonians, it was Nergal, the god of war and plague. To the Greeks and Romans, it became Ares and Mars, bringer of bloodshed, omen of conflict. Even in Chinese astronomy, Mars was known as the fire star, its crimson hue linked with bad fortune and upheaval. When people looked up and saw that red light moving steadily against the tapestry of stars, they did not see a planet. They saw a warning. The association lingered through the ages. In medieval Europe, astrologers charted Mars with trepidation, noting its conjunctions as signs of aggression or strife. Armies marched and kings fell under its crimson gaze, or so the chronicles claimed. Mars was never neutral. It was the celestial agitator, forever tied to turbulence on Earth. So when, in our own time, a mysterious interstellar object slowed in its approach near that same planet, the symbolism could not be ignored. It was as though history itself had turned a page and found the same warning written in its margins. Mars, the harbinger once again, found itself at the center of an omen. But Mars is not only a myth, it is also the frontier of science, the focal point of humanity's dreams of exploration. Long before we sent probes and rovers, we projected our stories onto its surface. In the 19th century, astronomer Giovanni Schiaparelli mapped dark streaks across Mars and called them canali channels. The mistranslation into canals sparked visions of intelligent Martians, constructing vast works of engineering across their dying world. Writers like H.G. Wells and Edgar Rice Burroughs seized upon the idea, weaving tales of alien invasions and desert kingdoms. Mars became not just a planet, but a stage for human fears and fantasies, of enemies descending from the skies, of civilizations both ancient and noble. Even as better telescopes dispelled the myth of canals, the fascination remained. When the first robotic missions sent back images of barren landscapes, many felt not disappointment, but a deeper allure. For here was a world that felt within reach, a place we might one day walk upon, perhaps even call home. And so Mars straddles two identities: omen and opportunity, symbol of destruction and of hope. It is both the god of war and the dream of peace among the stars. Is it any wonder, then, that Three-Eye Atlas seemed to choose Mars as its stage? By accident or by intent, the association was too powerful to ignore. In the eyes of myth, it was a warning. In the eyes of science, it was a challenge. In the eyes of philosophy, it was an invitation. For scientists, the practical reasons for concern were obvious. Mars is the closest neighbor we are preparing to visit. Within decades, human footprints may press into its dust. Colonies may rise on its surface. It is not just another planet, it is humanity's future doorstep. If something unusual were to occur there, the implications would not be distant, but immediate. And so the thought lingered. Was the object slowing near Mars by coincidence? Or was Mars itself the destination? To those inclined toward speculation, the symbolism became almost unbearable. Was this a warning from the cosmos, reminding us of the ancient stories that Mars, bringer of war, still carried omens? Or was it, paradoxically, a sign of invitation, an interstellar visitor drawing our gaze toward the very world we are destined to explore? We cannot know. Perhaps we will never know. But the convergence of myth and science created a tension unlike any other. Mars was no longer just a target for rovers and rockets. It had become the center of a cosmic narrative, one in which humanity itself was a character. In the red sands of that world lie echoes of our past and promises of our future. And now, circling above it, lingered Three-Eye Atlas, a mystery from the stars, casting its shadow on the planet we most long to reach. Was it coincidence? Was it destiny? Or was it, as the ancients would have believed, a sign? But to answer whether Three-Eye Atlas was mere stone or something more, scientists turned to its most revealing feature, its surface, how it caught the sunlight, and how that reflection told a story no natural rock should ever tell. Mars has always been more than a planet in the night sky. Its crimson hue has cast a shadow over human imagination for millennia, inspiring myths, fears, and stories of the unknown. And yet a curious pattern emerges when we look closer. Every time humanity has edged toward Mars through telescopes, orbiters, rovers, or ambitious plans to visit strange anomalies, and crises seem to appear on Earth as if the planet itself reacts to our fascination. Consider the late 19th century. Telescopes became powerful enough to resolve details on Mars' surface. Astronomer Giovanni Schiaparelli drew maps of canali, or channels, which mistranslation later turned into canals. Suddenly, the world was abuzz with speculation. Intelligent Martians? Massive engineering projects spanning continents of sand and rock? Panic and wonder mingled. Newspapers debated the possibility of invasion. Fiction writers spun tales of war and disaster. And in the same decades, Europe was building toward conflicts that would culminate in World War I. A coincidence or a subtle alignment between our attention to Mars and the anxieties of the human race? Move forward to the mid-20th century. As radio telescopes probed the heavens, the space race began. The United States and the Soviet Union both turned their eyes to Mars, not merely as a distant curiosity, but as a stepping stone for humanity's expansion beyond Earth. Almost immediately, anomalies arose. Unexplained signals, mysterious solar flares, and sudden magnetic storms captured attention. In popular culture, Mars became the source of fear and fascination. Flying saucers, Martian invasions, and strange radio messages that sometimes turned out to be nothing more than cosmic background noise. Yet the timing was uncanny. Our focus on Mars seemed to coincide with signals and events we could not fully explain. Then came the first probes. Mariner 4 reached Mars in 1965, sending back grainy images of its cratered surface. Humanity's gaze fixed upon the red planet more sharply than ever before. And yet, in that same period, global tensions escalated: Vietnam, political assassinations, and space rivalries, all unfolding while we sought to touch Mars, to understand it more intimately. Mars was no longer a distant light. It had become a mirror. The closer we came, the more the mirror reflected chaos, surprise, and the unknown. Even the successes carried their own eerie patterns. Viking landers touched down in 1976, providing humanity with the first real images of Martian soil. But alongside these triumphs came puzzling anomalies. Instruments recorded unexpected readings of gas fluctuations, atmospheric quirks, and the faintest chemical signatures that could not be immediately explained. Decades later, when scientists re-examined the data, some began whispering of possibilities that ranged from geological oddities to microbial life, though no one could confirm either. Each advance toward Mars seemed to reveal that the planet resisted simple explanation. In the 21st century, the pattern persisted. The Mars rovers, Spirit, Opportunity, and Curiosity delivered extraordinary images of riverbeds, rock formations, and mineral traces, evidence of a long-lost watery past. Yet anomalies continued. Opportunity's wheel stalled in 2005 under mysterious circumstances. Curiosity recorded methane spikes that appeared and vanished unpredictably. NASA's orbiters detected transient bright spots in craters that defied initial classification. Each breakthrough seemed accompanied by something that hinted at irregularity, subtle but impossible to ignore. Even in popular imagination, Mars carried its old associations. Hollywood films, novels, and conspiracy theories flourished, depicting the red planet as both a cradle for lost civilizations and a harbinger of disaster. Every Mars mission, no matter how carefully planned, seemed shadowed by history and legend alike. The pattern grows more unsettling when we consider global events coinciding with human advancements toward Mars. Wars, economic crisis, unexplained natural disasters. Each period of heightened attention to Mars has correlated with turmoil on Earth. A telescope trained too long, a lander touching down, a rover sending back images, and somewhere on Earth, chaos seems to stir. The pattern may be coincidence, yet the human mind cannot help but notice, cannot help but weave narrative from anomaly. Mars becomes both mirror and omen, a distant world reflecting back our fears. The oddities in observation, the irregularities in data, the strange pauses and accelerations of probes, all combine into a sense of unease, as though the planet itself carries a warning for those who watch too closely. Now, in 2025, 3I ATLA drifts near Mars, slowing in ways no natural object should. The echoes of history make the anomaly feel larger than it is. We remember Oumuamua, we remember past missions, we remember the mythic weight of the red planet. Our gaze toward Mars has always drawn uncertainty. And now, as the interstellar visitor hesitates, it is almost impossible not to imagine that Mars itself is a stage on which the universe whispers. Watch carefully. The story is not yet complete. It is a pattern that defies simple explanation, a rhythm that blends science, history, and myth. Perhaps there is nothing mystical here, merely coincidence, amplified by human perception. Or perhaps the universe enjoys a narrative of its own, one in which Mars and interstellar travelers serve as characters in a story far larger than ourselves. These odd facts, the coincidences of timing, the anomalies, the global crisis, create a mood that cannot be ignored. They transform ordinary data points into something cinematic, almost ritualistic. Every time humanity reaches toward Mars, the planet reacts, or so it seems. The object 3I ATLA becomes more than a stone drifting through space. It becomes a participant in a story whose roots stretch across centuries. And yet, the stories remain unfinished. We have not yet walked upon the surface of Mars. We have not yet fully understood the anomalies, the signals, the patterns. The planet remains a mirror, a mystery, and now, with 3I Atlas nearby, a stage. And as the Martian omen unfolded, scientists turned their instruments closer, examining 3I ATLA not just as an object in space, but as a signal, a puzzle, written in light, motion, and the strange reflection of a starless void. Once the slow, deliberate motion of 3I Atlas was confirmed, the world of speculation opened wide. Scientists, cautious as ever, first explored natural explanations, anomalous outgassing, unseen gravitational interactions, peculiar solar radiation effects. Yet the data resisted all conventional models, leaving room for questions that science alone could not yet answer. And in that space between certainty and mystery, alternative theories began to emerge. The first, and perhaps most provocative, suggested that 3I Atlas was no mere stone, no fragment of ice or rock cast loose from a distant star. It could be a probe, not a comet, not an asteroid, but an object designed artificially, intelligently, to travel across interstellar space. Imagine for a moment the implications. An artifact drifting silently between worlds, shaped by minds whose origin we cannot begin to fathom. Perhaps it had been traveling for millions of years, in messengers sent deliberately to study, to observe, or to warn. Its slowing near Mars would then be no accident, but an act of design, a calculated pause on a stage we barely understand. The idea may sound like science fiction, and yet, in the behavior of 3I Atlas, the mathematics hint at the possibility. The deceleration, the unexpected trajectory, the lack of natural outgassing each factor fits a narrative of deliberate control, subtle but undeniable. Another theory, almost as audacious, imagined the object as a fragment of a Dyson sphere or megastructure. Dyson spheres, hypothetical constructs designed to harness the energy of an entire star, have long lived in the realm of theoretical astrophysics. But what if pieces of such a civilization's remnants drifted loose, wandering through interstellar space? A shard of ancient technology, millions or even billions of years old, could explain both the object's inexplicable movement and its peculiar shape. Its reflective surfaces, unusual density, and resistance to natural forces might be the remnants of engineering beyond our comprehension. In that scenario, 3I ATLAS is not a visitor. It is a relic, a fossil of a civilization far older than humanity, carrying with it secrets we are only beginning to perceive. A third theory combined elements of both natural and artificial origins, that 3I-ATLAs is a lost relic of an extinct civilization, perhaps even an intelligent species that once thrived in a distant system, only to vanish. Its journey through the void could be the ultimate accident, or a deliberate voyage intended to carry knowledge or memory across the stars. Some suggested that the object could be a repository of information, encoded in its structure or material composition. Each acceleration, each pause, might not be random, but a subtle signal, waiting for a civilization capable of interpreting it. A cosmic time capsule, drifting silently through space until it encounters observers ready to listen. Even within the scientific community, these theories are handled with caution. Speculation is tempered by restraint. Yet the beauty of 3I-ATLAS lies precisely in this tension. The data refuses to confirm, yet refuses to deny. Every observation is like a riddle, teasing both rational explanation and imaginative wonder. This duality is what makes the object so compelling. It challenges our assumptions about physics, but also about our place in the universe. It reminds us that there may be phenomena out there that defy the categories we rely upon, neither fully natural nor overtly artificial, existing in a space we have not yet learned to describe. The alternative theories extend beyond technology and into philosophy. If 3I-ATLAs is an artifact, what does that mean for humanity? Are we witnessing evidence of life elsewhere, or merely the traces of a civilization long gone? Does the object carry intent, or is its behavior simply the residue of an abandoned mechanism? Some scientists approach the question with poetic caution. The universe is vast, its rules ancient and inscrutable. To encounter a visitor like 3I-ATLAS is to confront our own assumptions about life, intelligence, and purpose. And yet, it is precisely this confrontation that stirs the imagination, that drives us to look closer, to ask harder questions, and to wonder what lies beyond the horizon of certainty. For the public, the allure is even greater. Headlines speculated about alien visitors, messages from the stars, and interstellar probes drifting silently toward Mars. Social media buzzed with theories both plausible and fanciful, ranging from highly technical physics discussions to sweeping conjectures of extraterrestrial intent. The object became a mirror, reflecting humanity's own curiosity, hope, and fear. Yet in every discussion, one constant remained. 3I-ATLAS was not ordinary. It behaved in ways that forced us to rethink what we believed possible. It slowed in space, resisted natural explanation, and hovered near a planet steeped in myth and science alike. And so, the object invites us into a paradox. Science demands evidence, observation, and proof. Yet imagination is equally necessary, because the cosmos is larger than our models. Both perspectives are valid, and both leave us suspended in awe. Some will dismiss the artificial theories as fanciful, others will embrace them as tantalizing possibilities. Yet the truth remains elusive, hidden in the interplay between light, motion, and the uncharted expanses of interstellar space. What is certain, however, is that 3I-ATLAS has forced humanity to consider questions that have long lingered in the background. How many forms of intelligence exist in the universe? How many mechanisms and technologies do we not yet understand? How many messages from the stars remain unread? And yet, theory alone is not enough. To move closer to understanding, scientists began examining the material composition of 3I-ATLA, its light, its albedo, and the strange spectral fingerprints that hinted at a nature unlike any object previously observed. Long before telescopes pierced the night sky, before the equations of Newton and Einstein mapped the dance of planets and comets, humans watched the heavens with awe and trepidation. The stars were not mere points of light, they were the keepers of stories, omens, and warnings. Among them, certain wanderers drew special attention. The planets, the comets, the occasional visitor that seemed to defy expectation. The Babylonians, meticulous in their observations, kept records spanning centuries. They noticed irregular stars moving across the firmament in ways that did not conform to the predictable paths of other celestial bodies. They called them Kakaba, Oa Kakabek, stars of stars, and linked them to gods and kings, disasters and blessings. Some texts describe objects that pause in the sky or turn aside from their path, mysterious movements that provoked both fear and reverence. Could they have been observing objects like 3IA2LAS long before modern instruments? We will never know. Yet the descriptions resonate with eerie familiarity. A stone moving through the heavens, slowing, deviating, behaving as if guided by intent. The parallels are uncanny. In Egypt, the sky held equal significance. The ancient Egyptians meticulously charted the stars, integrating their movements into religious and agricultural calendars. They noted unusual celestial phenomena in hieroglyphs, wandering stars, sudden flashes, and objects that seemed to descend from the throne of Ra. Priests interpreted these as messages, instructions, or omens from gods beyond comprehension. Some tomb inscriptions describe objects that watch over the lands or pause above sacred places, phrases that, though poetic, evoke an unexpected resonance with modern observations of interstellar visitors slowing near planets. These ancient accounts suggest a continuity of attention, a human instinct to recognize anomalies in the heavens. Perhaps our ancestors, like modern astronomers, glimpsed phenomena that did not fit the expected order of the universe. The Maya offer yet another perspective. With their extraordinary grasp of astronomy, they tracked Venus, Mars, and other planets with precision unmatched for their time. Codices record the movements of wandering stars that appeared irregular, sometimes appearing brighter or dimmer, sometimes changing direction unexpectedly. These records were not mere curiosities. They were integrated into complex cycles of prophecy and ritual, tied to ideas of rebirth, catastrophe, and renewal. Across continents and centuries, from Babylon to Egypt to the Americas, a same theme emerges. Certain celestial objects are not just observed, they are interpreted. They are given agency, personality, and purpose. They are remembered, feared, and sometimes worshipped. Modern science may dismiss these interpretations as myth, yet the echoes are striking. 31ATLAS is, in a sense, a modern wandering star. Its trajectory, its slowing near Mars, its anomalous behavior, these are the very qualities that would have drawn attention in antiquity. The ancients may not have understood the physics, but they recognized the anomaly, the pause in the predictable motion of the heavens. This continuity invites speculation. Perhaps humanity has encountered such visitors before, countless times across millennia, and simply forgotten. The records that survive are fragmentary, poetic, or symbolic, yet they suggest a cyclical pattern. Visitors appear, leave their mark, and disappear, only to be recorded again by those who have the eyes to notice. Could it be that 3IATLAS is part of a long sequence of interstellar wanderers, each with its own role, its own purpose, its own story? Perhaps every few centuries or millennia, an object drifts into our solar system, and each time, humanity interprets its presence according to the knowledge and culture of the day. In Babylon, it is a god's messenger. In Egypt, it is a warning from the sky. In the modern age, it is an interstellar object that defies physics. The pattern suggests a hidden rhythm, a cosmic cadence of visitation. Objects like 3I Atlas may not be unique. They may be echoes of a greater narrative, one that repeats quietly, leaving traces in both the heavens and human memory. These connections also highlight a profound philosophical point. The universe is vast, its timescales immense, and humanity's tenure in the cosmos brief. Yet across that brevity, we have repeatedly perceived anomalies, paused to wonder, and recorded our astonishment. Perhaps the universe is not silent after all. Perhaps over eons, it has been sending subtle signs, appearing as wandering stars, anomalies, and deviations from expected motion, waiting for beings capable of noticing. 31ATLAS, in this light, is more than a scientific curiosity. It is part of a continuum that bridges the ancient and the modern, the mythological and the empirical. It asks us to consider not only the laws of physics, but also the instincts of observation and interpretation that have guided human thought for millennia. It is tempting to dismiss the connections as coincidence, to insist that myths are simply stories and anomalies are chance. And yet, the parallels are striking. Pause, deviation, unusual movement, apparent intention. The whispers from ancient texts may be our ancestors' way of telling the same story we are now reading through telescopes and data points, that the universe is alive with motion that defies expectation, and that sometimes it chooses to linger, just long enough for observers to take notice. As the whispers of ancient texts faded into the modern age, scientists and theorists alike turned their attention to the latest data. The slowing motion, the anomalous shape, the reflective surface, all hinted at a presence that was not entirely natural. Could these wandering stars be part of a cycle, each leaving traces for those who are ready to observe? And if so, what was 3I Atlas trying to tell us? For weeks, astronomers had been watching 3I ATLAS with a combination of fascination and dread. Its slowing motion near Mars had already defied expectations, but nothing prepared the world for what came next. A sudden brilliant flash of teal-green light trailing from the object as it drifted against the red sands of the Martian landscape. The telescopes captured it in exquisite detail. High-resolution spectrometers recorded an unusual spectrum, showing wavelengths that did not match any known cometary outgassing, mineral reflection, or natural phenomenon. For a moment, the cosmic silence was broken by a vivid streak, like a painter's brush across the canvas of space, a color so alien it seemed almost alive. Scientists scrambled to categorize the event. At first, many assumed it was an artifact of imaging, a lens flare, a cosmic ray hitting a detector, an optical anomaly. But as multiple observatories across the globe reported the same phenomenon simultaneously, the anomaly became undeniable. Something in 3I Atlas, itself or in its immediate vicinity, was producing light in a way that defied the known laws of planetary physics. The teal-green hue puzzled experts. Natural luminescence on this scale is extraordinarily rare. Comets emit visible light largely from reflected sunlight and sublimating gases, usually appearing white, yellow, or faint blue. But this was different. The light shimmered, almost pulsating, as if responsive to some unseen force. It stretched behind the object in a tail, yet unlike a comet's dusty plume, it seemed coherent, almost intentional. As the report spread, speculative theories emerged almost immediately. Some suggested charged particles interacting with solar winds could produce unusual emissions. Others posited microchemical reactions unknown to our catalog of interstellar materials. But the intensity, color, and persistence of the glow did not fit any known model. The pattern appeared too deliberate, too structured to be dismissed as random. Astrophysicists began to compare the flare to historical anomalies. In 2017, Oumuamua had reflected sunlight in unusual ways, its brightness oscillating as it tumbled through space. But the phenomenon with 3I ATLAS was not subtle. It was radiant, unmistakable, and in a color unseen in any previously recorded interstellar object. It was as if the cosmos had decided to write in teal across the Martian sky. Media outlets quickly sensationalized the event. Headlines proclaimed alien activity, mysterious lights, or potential signals. Yet behind the sensationalism, the scientific community remained measured, though unsettled. To understand such an event requires patience, skepticism, and humility. Patience to observe, skepticism to question assumptions, and humility in the face of a universe capable of producing phenomena beyond current comprehension. Telescopes adjusted, instruments recalibrated, and teams across continents focused on gathering data. The light persisted for hours, stretching as a ribbon across the Martian horizon. Some suggested it was being reflected by fine dust particles in the thin atmosphere, illuminated in an unusual spectrum of sunlight. Yet Mars' atmosphere is exceedingly tenuous, incapable of scattering light in such intensity, especially in the teal range. The more scientists studied, the less familiar it became. Its properties hinted at energy sources unknown, interactions unexplained. It became impossible to describe simply as natural. The spectacle was also cinematic. Visualizations created from observational data showed 3I Atlas as a dark, elongated body moving slowly across the Martian sky. Behind it, a glowing teal-green trail stretched like a comet's tail, yet pulsating with an intensity and coherence that suggested structure. It shimmered and flickered, catching the light of distant stars, casting a faint glow onto the Martian dust below. Observers described the sight as eerie, yet beautiful, a surreal tableau of color and motion, a reminder that the universe contains spectacles far beyond human imagination. The timing of the flare, coinciding with 3I Atlas slowdown, suggested a connection. Was the object releasing energy intentionally? Or was the light a byproduct of forces acting upon it, forces we have yet to understand? Theories proliferated. A thin, reflective surface interacting with solar radiation. A residual magnetic field ionizing nearby particles. Or perhaps an entirely unknown mechanism, an alien technology, subtly revealing itself in the cosmic theater. Even seasoned astronomers admitted a sense of wonder mingled with unease. In the history of observation, few objects had produced such clear evidence that the universe could surprise. Use reminding humanity that even in the age of telescopes, satellites, and supercomputers, the cosmos retains secrets. As night fell across observatories on Earth, the teal-green glow persisted in the data feeds. Discussions moved from hypothesis to philosophical reflection. What if 3I Atlas was not merely a drifting object, but a message? Could the light itself be a signal, encoded in wavelengths, intentionally visible to civilizations capable of observation? Or was it a cosmic coincidence, a natural phenomenon coinciding with its unusual trajectory? No answers came. Only questions, deep and resonant. And yet, as the flare faded, leaving only the slow-moving silhouette of 3I Atlas against the blackness of space, a new awareness settled over the scientific community. For the first time in modern history, an interstellar visitor had revealed a behavior so inexplicable, so dramatic, that it forced even the most conservative researchers to reconsider the boundaries between natural and artificial, between ordinary and extraordinary. The Martian sky, usually silent and lifeless in its reddish tones, had become a canvas for the unknown, a medium in which the cosmos whispered, if only for a moment, a message that humanity was not yet equipped to interpret. But the light alone was not the only anomaly. As instruments gathered spectroscopic data, the composition of 3I Atlas began to hint at materials unseen on Earth, substances that might rewrite our understanding of what could drift between the stars. In the wake of 3IA2LA's anomalous behavior, the public eye turned naturally to the institutions best equipped to interpret the data: NASA, ESA, and observatories around the globe. Their instruments captured images, spectral data, and orbital calculations, yet their statements were measured, cautious, and carefully phrased. Every press release, every journal article, seemed to dance on the edge of revelation without stepping fully into speculation. This caution is not unusual. Scientific agencies operate under immense scrutiny. They must balance accuracy with accessibility, skepticism with curiosity, and credibility with wonder. Every claim is vetted, every anomaly tested, and every explanation framed in the language of probability. And yet, in their careful phrasing, one can almost sense the invisible tension between the known and the unknown, the shadows in which true mysteries often linger. NASA's briefings referred to 3I-ATLAS as an interstellar object exhibiting unusual non-gravitational motion, while ESA noted observations inconsistent with conventional cometary behavior. Neither agency suggested the extraterrestrial or artificial outright, yet the words were loaded with implication. They acknowledged phenomena that defied immediate explanation, yet stopped short of assigning intent or origin. This is the art of controlled disclosure, a subtle balancing act. The goal is not to mislead, but to manage the delicate boundary between public comprehension and scientific uncertainty. To say too much risks panic, misinterpretation, or sensationalism. To say too little risks eroding credibility. And so, agencies phrase findings in ways that maintain authority while leaving room for further investigation. Controlled disclosure is not a modern invention. Throughout history, institutions, whether scientific, political, or religious, have often tempered the release of extraordinary knowledge. In astronomy, this has taken the form of measured announcements, careful peer review, and incremental revelation. Observations of celestial anomalies are often published in technical language first, allowing experts to interpret before the public draws conclusions. For 3I-ATLAS, this meant that the dramatic teal-green flare, the slow deceleration near Mars, and the odd spectral signatures were all documented meticulously, but framed conservatively. Headlines might read, "Unusual light observed from interstellar object," rather than "Alien probe illuminates Martian skies." The story exists, but it exists in shadow visible to those who search carefully, yet veiled to the casual observer. The reasoning is pragmatic. Astronomy and astrophysics are complex, and human perception craves narrative. A minor anomaly can be sensationalized into a headline about extraterrestrial intelligence. A small deviation in motion can be inflated into proof of cosmic intent. By controlling the language, agencies protect the integrity of scientific interpretation, while simultaneously allowing wonder to grow among those who seek it. This careful phrasing also reflects a philosophical caution. The universe is vast, and our knowledge is limited. Science thrives on uncertainty as much as on evidence. By acknowledging anomalies without overcommitting to conclusions, agencies signal that there is something worth studying without claiming certainty. It is a delicate dance between disclosure and restraint, one that has always characterized humanity's encounter with the extraordinary. Some theorists suggest a more deliberate intention behind such phrasing, that institutions are participating in a long tradition of guided revelation. Information about phenomena like 3I-ATLAS is shared slowly, in increments, to allow society to absorb, debate, and adapt. Perhaps the idea is to prevent mass panic, or perhaps it is simply recognition that human comprehension requires time to evolve alongside discovery. In the case of 3I-ATLA, this shadowed communication fuels curiosity. Scientists in public forums speak in conditional language. It may be natural, or there may be forces we do not yet understand. The press reports cautiously. Unusual interstellar object exhibits behavior defying current models. And yet, for those who read between the lines, the story becomes far more tantalizing. The anomaly is real. The unknown is real. The universe is whispering, even if it speaks softly. There is also a psychological dimension. Controlled disclosure shapes expectations, prepares society for gradual comprehension, and prevents premature conclusions. Humanity has a long history of projecting familiar ideas onto unfamiliar phenomena, comets as omens, Mars as harbinger, interstellar objects as signs. By framing 3I-ATLAS in neutral scientific terms, agencies reduce the risk of misinterpretation, allowing the public to marvel without immediate alarm. And yet, in the shadows, speculation flourishes. Amateur astronomers, independent researchers, and curious minds pore over images and datasets, noticing details that formal reports only hint at. Light curves, spectral anomalies, orbital quirks all become fodder for conjecture. In this space between official communication and independent observation, wonder thrives, feeding the same sense of awe that ancient civilizations felt when they saw wandering stars in their skies. Controlled disclosure is not secrecy, it is stewardship of knowledge. It recognizes that extraordinary discoveries require extraordinary patience. Agencies like NASA and ESA act as guides, revealing enough to spark curiosity, but withholding final judgments until evidence can be rigorously verified. 31ATLAS, in its mysterious behavior near Mars, becomes a perfect example of this practice. An anomaly documented, a mystery acknowledged, and a story unfolding slowly before our eyes. In the quiet language of reports, there is truth. In the measured phrasing, there is suspense. The universe is spoken, and scientists have listened carefully, filtering the echoes into words humanity can cautiously understand. And yet, even as agencies circumspectly reported findings, independent observers noticed patterns that seemed impossible behavior. That suggested the object might not only defy natural explanation, but also hint at intelligence behind its design. Humanity has always looked to the stars with a mixture of awe and unease. The night sky inspires wonder, but it also evokes a profound question. What if we are not alone? It is a question that has lingered for centuries, evolving from myth and superstition into philosophy and science. And now, with 3IATLAs drifting near Mars, behaving in ways that defy natural explanation, that question presses closer, more urgent, and perhaps more unsettling than ever. Philosophers and scientists alike have pondered this fear. Carl Sagan, in his quiet, contemplative way, often reminded us that the universe is vast, and life elsewhere may be far older, far wiser, far different than ourselves. He cautioned that contact, if it occurs, could take forms we cannot predict, with consequences beyond our imagination. The very idea challenges human pride. We are not the center of everything, and the cosmos may harbor intelligence that dwarfs us in patience, sophistication, or ambition. Sagan's words echo like a whisper in the corridors of observation as telescopes track 3IATLA, its anomalous trajectory, its sudden flare of teal-green light, and its apparent responsiveness suggest, however subtly, that it may not be a passive visitor. The object reminds us that the universe may have intentions, or at least, patterns we do not yet understand. This is the core of our fear. The unknown is far more unsettling than silence. The vast emptiness of interstellar space is bearable precisely because it does not act. But when a stranger arrives, when a wandering object slows near a planet we know intimately, when light behaves unnaturally, the void becomes an agent of uncertainty. 3.1 Atlas forces humanity to confront not just the possibility of life elsewhere, but the possibility that that life or intelligence has noticed us as well. The fear is compounded by the Fermi paradox, the question that has haunted astronomers for decades. If intelligent life is common in the universe, why have we seen no evidence of it? The paradox reminds us that silence may not indicate emptiness, it may indicate caution, or concealment, or forces operating on scales beyond our comprehension. A solitary interstellar object, drifting slowly near Mars, brings this paradox to life. It is a potential answer to a cosmic question we have long asked. Perhaps we are observed, or perhaps we are being tested, or perhaps we are simply witnessing the faintest trace of intelligence we have yet to recognize. Fear, however, is not solely intellectual. It is visceral. Humans are creatures wired to react to the unknown, to prepare for threat even when none is proven. In the face of 3IATLAS, that ancient instinct stirs. We imagine consequences, from catastrophic to subtle, from invasion to silent observation. The unknown sparks imagination, but it also sparks dread. Perhaps this is why our myths and legends so often attribute agency to the wandering stars. Perhaps it is why our ancestors saw omens in comets and meteors, fearing messages from beyond our world. Yet fear is only one part of the equation. Curiosity, awe, and wonder balance it. The very same object that terrifies also invites exploration, observation, and philosophical reflection. 31ATLAS embodies the duality of the unknown, a challenge and an invitation. It asks us to question our assumptions about life, intelligence, and our place in the universe. It asks us to wonder how civilizations might evolve across billions of years and across unthinkable distances. Philosophers have long suggested that the fear of contact is less about the other and more about ourselves. What would it mean for humanity to acknowledge intelligence beyond Earth? Could we handle the knowledge that we are not unique, not central, not even the most advanced? Or would we find humility, inspiration, and motivation to expand our own understanding? The teal-green flare observed near Mars becomes symbolic in this context. It is a flash of possibility, a signal, whether intentional or accidental, that something exists beyond our comprehension. Its intensity reminds us that the cosmos is alive with phenomena we do not yet understand. It reminds us that silence is not the same as emptiness, and that contact, even indirect, challenges our assumptions and beliefs. This is why 3I et LA stirs such fear, not because it poses an immediate threat, but because it exposes a vulnerability, our readiness, or lack thereof, to face evidence of intelligence beyond Earth. It forces us to ask uncomfortable questions about our future, our civilization, and our capacity to respond wisely when confronted by the truly unknown. In a quiet moment, when the telescopes rest and the data files are saved for later analysis, one can almost feel the philosophical weight of the event. 3IATLAS is not a mere rock or comet. It is a mirror held up to humanity's deepest anxieties and curiosities. It reflects our fears, our hopes, and our relentless desire to understand. It asks, if intelligence exists beyond our world, how will we recognize it, and how will we respond? Perhaps this is the lesson hidden within the slow approach, the anomalous light, and the enigmatic trajectory. The universe may not announce itself with fire and thunder. It may whisper in subtle motions, in spectral anomalies, in objects drifting near familiar worlds. And our task is to listen carefully, to interpret with patience, and to temper fear with wonder. And yet, while philosophy wrestled with implications, scientists returned to the data. The spectral lines, the unusual motion, the reflective anomalies, they hinted at something far more tangible than fear alone. Something that might redefine the boundaries of physics, material science, and our understanding of interstellar visitors. Mars has long fascinated humanity, not only as a destination, but as a potential cradle for life beyond Earth. Among the most intriguing episodes in its exploration are the experiments conducted by the Viking landers in the early 1970s. Launched during an era when spaceflight was still in its adolescence, the Viking missions were ambitious and precise, designed to touch down on the Martian surface and answer a question that had haunted scientists for centuries. Does life exist beyond Earth? The landers carried instruments specifically designed to detect microbial activity in Martian soil. The results were, and remain, enigmatic. One test, known as the labeled release experiment, showed a positive reaction, suggesting chemical processes consistent with metabolism. Gas was released, indicating that something in the soil might be consuming nutrients. Yet, when paired with other experiments and tests for organic molecules, the results conflicted. Some instruments detected no organics at all. The debate began immediately. Had Viking found life, or merely a chemical anomaly? The scientific community split. Some researchers argued that the reactions could be explained entirely by non-biological chemistry oxidizing salts. Perchlorates and radiation-induced reactions could mimic the signs of microbial metabolism. Others, however, cautioned that dismissing the results outright ignored tantalizing hints that life might exist, albeit in forms unfamiliar to Earth-based biology. Vikings' results were ambiguous, but they hinted at the possibility that Mars had not been entirely lifeless for billions of years. This debate has persisted for decades, quietly shaping how we approach Mars today. Each rover, orbiter, and probe is tasked not only with mapping landscapes, but with searching for chemical signatures, isotopic ratios, and environmental conditions that could support microbial life. Yet Viking's ghost lingers, a subtle reminder that Mars might already harbor surprises humanity has struggled to comprehend, let alone fully acknowledge. Oddly, the timing of these discoveries always seems to align with broader patterns of human attention. When Viking landed, Earth was in the throes of cultural transformation, scientific ambition, and a global race for space dominance. As humanity reached for Mars, the planet seemed to respond in ways that were both mysterious and challenging, hinting at hidden complexity in its soil, atmosphere, and radiation environment. The anomaly was not just physical, it was cultural, philosophical, and psychological, intertwining human curiosity with Martian secrets. Even today, the experiments are revisited. Modern scientists reanalyze Viking data with advanced computational models and analog studies on Earth. Some hypothesize that Martian microbes, if they exist, are extraordinarily resilient, capable of withstanding radiation, extreme dryness, and temperature swings. Others speculate that Viking may have unwittingly disturbed dormant microbial colonies, producing transient chemical signals without necessarily confirming life. The debate continues, as unresolved as ever. These discussions also hint at humanity's tendency to ignore inconvenient possibilities. A world teeming with microbial life challenges preconceptions about our uniqueness, our understanding of biology, and the ethical questions surrounding planetary exploration. Perhaps it is easier or more comfortable to focus on rocks, dust, and atmosphere, while quietly setting aside the possibility that life, however simple or extreme, already exists beneath the Martian surface. And yet, there is evidence suggesting that Mars has retained conditions suitable for life, at least intermittently, over its history. Ancient riverbeds, mineral deposits, recurring slope linea, and seasonal methane fluctuations all point toward dynamic processes that could support microbial ecosystems. In this context, Viking's controversial readings become not anomalies, but early hints, a whisper from a world waiting to reveal its secrets. The notion of Martian microbes also intersects with human imagination. Popular culture has long speculated on life beyond Earth, sometimes depicting Martians as intelligent beings, sometimes as microbial entities hiding in dust and rock. The Viking experiments grounded such speculation in tangible data, however ambiguous. They remind us that science often encounters the mysterious first, and explanation comes only later. For 3I-ATLAs, this historical context matters. The slowing object near Mars, its unusual light emissions, and its anomalous trajectory evoke the same mix of awe and uncertainty that Viking's experiments inspired. Just as scientists then debated microbial life hidden in Martian soil, today they debate the origin and nature of an interstellar visitor. Both cases illustrate humanity's tentative steps toward understanding, the tension between evidence and imagination, and the persistent reminder that the universe is more complex than our assumptions allow. Moreover, the Viking controversy underscores a broader lesson. Anomalies matter. Even when results are ambiguous, when conclusions are uncertain, they demand attention. They compel us to refine instruments, improve observation, and remain humble in the face of phenomena that challenge existing models. 31ATLAS, in many ways, represents a cosmic echo of this lesson. Just as Vikings' data hinted at hidden life, 31ATLA's hints at forces or entities beyond Earth, awaiting interpretation, study, and perhaps eventual understanding. The Martian microbes debate is therefore more than a historical curiosity. It is a metaphor. It is a reminder that the unknown will not always conform to expectation, that subtle signals may herald extraordinary discoveries, and that humanity's response to ambiguity is as important as the phenomena themselves. And while the debate over microbial life continued quietly in laboratories, the anomalies of 3I Atlas pressed on. Its trajectory, its reflective surface, its sudden flare of light all suggested a presence that could not be ignored, and a universe that continues to surprise even the most cautious observers. Science often reminds us that life comes in forms we can recognize: cells, DNA, metabolism, reproduction. Yet the cosmos may harbor possibilities that stretch beyond our terrestrial imagination. 31 Atlas, drifting slowly near Mars, behaving in ways that defy physics, flaring with strange teal-green light. What if it is not an object at all? What if it is alive? The notion seems audacious, even unsettling. We instinctively categorize interstellar phenomena as inanimate, rocks, ice, gas. But biology is fundamentally about organization, responsiveness, and adaptation. Could a drifting interstellar entity, shaped by eons of cosmic conditions, behave in ways that mirror life's slowly adjusting trajectory, emitting energy, interacting with its environment? Speculative biology, or astrobiology at the frontier of imagination, offers some clues. Consider extremophiles on Earth, microscopic organisms that survive in near-vacuum conditions, in temperatures far below freezing, in boiling acid, or under crushing pressure. They reveal life's remarkable flexibility, its ability to endure what seems impossible. If life on Earth can adapt to such extremes, might the cosmos have produced organisms capable of traversing interstellar space, dormant for millennia, only activating under favorable conditions? Some theorists suggest that 3I Atlas could be such an entity, a dormant interstellar organism, carried through space like a seed or spore. Its apparent slowdown near Mars could be more than mere physics. It could be a response to environmental cues, energy gradients, or magnetic fields. Its teal-green flare might represent metabolic activity, a release of energy, or communication on a scale beyond our immediate understanding. The idea intersects with panspermia, the hypothesis that life spreads across the universe via meteoroids, comets, and cosmic dust. If microorganisms can travel from planet to planet, perhaps entire organisms, or even complex structures, could survive interstellar voyages. 31 Atlas could be an advanced form of cosmic life, a self-contained entity that drifts for millions of years before encountering conditions that trigger activity. In this scenario, Mars may play a role. The red planet, with its history of water, chemical complexity, and radiation exposure, could provide environmental signals that awaken or energize dormant interstellar organisms. The timing of 3I Atlas approach is uncanny, as if the planet itself were a catalyst for interaction, a stage set for a brief encounter, a fleeting experiment in survival. The hypothesis challenges conventional physics as well. A living object might manipulate energy in ways not predicted by orbital mechanics. It could emit light, subtly alter its motion, or interact with particles and fields to maintain stability across the void. The anomaly of 3I ATLA's deceleration, its reflective properties, and its unusual spectral signature could all be manifestations of processes akin to life, just not life as we know it. Some researchers have even speculated about self-replicating cosmic organisms, entities that use raw matter from asteroids, dust, or radiation to maintain or expand themselves. While it sounds like science fiction, extremophiles on Earth, capable of horizontal gene transfer and extraordinary adaptation, suggests that evolution can produce systems beyond our imagination. In this view, 3I Atlas might be part of a vast network of interstellar life, silently moving through the galaxy, waiting for opportunities to interact. If 3I Atlas is alive, even partially, it reframes our understanding of the universe. It is no longer a passive observer. It becomes a participant in the cosmic drama. Its presence near Mars might not be coincidental, but the result of environmental sensing, of stimuli prompting behavior. The line between life and object blurs. What we call trajectory anomalies might be navigational adjustments. What we call light emissions might be signs of energy management, of perception, or even communication. This notion is profoundly humbling. Humanity has long measured intelligence and life against Earth's standard: oxygen, water, carbon, DNA. But the universe may have developed alternatives over billions of years. Life may not be limited to planets or atmospheres. It may exist as wandering entities, bridging the gap between stars, carrying information, energy, or even consciousness in forms we struggle to recognize. Philosophers and astrobiologists alike caution against anthropocentrism. Our concept of life is bound by the conditions we know. A drifting interstellar organism may not reproduce in ways we understand, may not consume in ways we recognize, and may not think as we think. Yet by its existence and its interaction with the environment, it may fulfill the fundamental criteria of life: response, adaptation, and persistence. The idea is both exhilarating and terrifying. To encounter a living object from another star system challenges every assumption about biology, cosmology, and even philosophy. It forces us to confront questions long avoided. What does it mean to be alive? Can intelligence exist without consciousness? Can life traverse interstellar space, patiently enduring eons until conditions permit activity? Even if 3I Atlas is not alive, considering the possibility transforms our perspective. It invites humility, patience, and creativity. It reminds us that the universe is stranger than we imagine, and that human curiosity is both necessary and limited. It also prepares us for a future in which encounters with the extraordinary may become commonplace, not in science fiction, but in the slow, patient observations of astronomers and explorers. Whether alive or not, 3I Atlas continued to defy expectations. Its motion, its light, and its inexplicable properties prompted a new phase of observation, one that looked not just for answers, but for patterns, subtle repetitions, rhythms, and behaviors that might hint at intention, intelligence, or design. Throughout human history, communication has been a matter of perception. We listen with ears tuned to certain frequencies. We observe with eyes sensitive to particular wavelengths. And we measure phenomena with instruments designed for what we can detect. But the universe operates on scales and frequencies far beyond these limits. 31 Atlas, drifting slowly near Mars, may be speaking or signaling in languages we have yet to understand. When telescopes captured its teal-green flare, astronomers were witnessing only a fraction of what might be occurring. Beyond visible light, the object could be emitting energy in forms invisible to the human eye. Infrared pulses that ripple through cold space, ultraviolet flashes hidden in the glare of the sun, or radio emissions buried beneath cosmic noise. These signals could be as deliberate as Morse code, or as natural as the breathing of a living entity, imperceptible without the proper tools. Gravitational waves offer another layer of potential communication. Ripples in space-time, caused by massive objects accelerating or oscillating, travel across the galaxy, often silently. While humans can detect the collisions of black holes or neutron stars, subtler vibrations could pass unnoticed. Could 3I Atlas be generating faint gravitational fluctuations, minute distortions that convey information, or perhaps are byproducts of its structure? We simply do not have the instruments sensitive enough to detect every nuance. leaving the possibility that the object has been speaking all along in a language beyond our perception. Quantum phenomena add yet another dimension. Particles can exist in superposition, entangled across vast distances, communicating instantaneously in ways that challenge classical understanding. Could the structure of 3IATLAS manipulate quantum effects, producing signals that are imperceptible to traditional observation, but meaningful to those equipped to sense them? Perhaps in its slow, deliberate approach to Mars, it leaves traces of influence at a scale smaller than atoms, whispers at the quantum level, undetectable to our instruments, but potentially carrying intention. The idea that an interstellar object could emit signals we cannot hear stretches both imagination and scientific theory. Yet history has shown that humans are often blind to signals until new technology opens our perception. Radio waves, X-rays, gamma rays, neutrinos. Each discovery revealed a universe previously invisible, previously silent. Just as radio telescopes revealed pulsars and quasars, could there be signals from 3I Atlas, waiting for instruments sensitive enough to perceive them? Even if we cannot detect them now, considering the possibility alters our perspective. Perhaps the anomaly is not simply in its motion or its flare, but in what we have yet to observe. The universe may be filled with layers of communication, overlapping, subtle, and undetectable, designed not for human comprehension, but for interaction with entities or systems far older, far more sophisticated than ourselves. This notion carries philosophical weight. Silence, after all, is not absence. A quiet forest may teem with life invisible to casual observation, and a seemingly empty sky may be alive with signals imperceptible to the unaided eye. 3.1 Atlas may be sending messages continuously, yet humanity perceives only fragments anomalous movement here, a flash of light there. The rest may lie hidden in frequencies, energies, or dimensions beyond our instruments. Speculation is inevitable. Could these signals, if decoded, reveal purpose, intelligence, or even consciousness? Or are they simply the natural resonance of an object forged in the interstellar void, shaped by forces we have yet to model? Even if intention is absent, the signals challenge us to expand our understanding, to imagine modes of communication that transcend biology, physics, and technology as we know it. For now, scientists approach this cautiously. Instruments are tuned to detect familiar signals, radio waves, spectroscopic emissions, magnetic fields. They analyze what is measurable, leaving the rest as an open question. Yet every anomaly, every unexpected pattern, every deviation from predicted behavior hints at layers of complexity beyond current comprehension. What we see may be only the tip of a vast, unseen network of activity, ripples across the cosmos, waiting for awareness to catch up. History reminds us that perception evolves slowly. Once, humans could not detect ultraviolet light or X-rays. Once, the concept of gravity waves was theoretical. Today, instruments capture phenomena invisible to the human senses. If 3I Atlas emits signals beyond our current reach, we may only perceive them decades or centuries from now as our tools, patience, and understanding advance. There is also a poetic resonance. Consider the quiet majesty of the universe. Trillions of stars, countless planets, interstellar objects drifting in silence, each potentially communicating in its own language. The teal-green flare was a visible gesture, an attention-grabbing whisper. Yet in its invisible emissions, in the quantum flickers or gravitational ripples we cannot yet detect, lies a deeper narrative. The cosmos, it seems, has always been talking. We are only beginning to learn the vocabulary. 3.1 ATLAS may be the first interstellar visitor to make itself perceptible, but even so, it may have been silent in essential ways. It reminds us that contact, if it exists, is not guaranteed to conform to our expectations. We listen, measure, and interpret, yet much may escape us, waiting for new generations of observers to expand the spectrum of perception. And as instruments continue to probe 3IA TLAS, searching for faint signals, minute fluctuations, and subtle energies, a more unsettling possibility arises. What if the object is not merely communicating, but observing, adapting, and responding to the universe itself, including us? Mars hangs in the night sky as a silent witness, its reddish hue casting a quiet reflection on humanity's hopes and fears. For millennia, humans have projected onto it stories of war, conquest, and mystery, imagining Martians in tales of science fiction, folklore, and early telescopic observation. Yet the red planet is not just a celestial body, it is a mirror, reflecting our ambition, our anxieties, and our deepest curiosity back at us. The fascination with Mars is partly practical. Its surface bears signs of ancient rivers, valleys, and possible subterranean aquifers. Scientists envision a world that could have supported life, at least in the distant past. But Mars also embodies the symbolic, a distant neighbor that is almost within reach, yet still untouchable, a reminder of both opportunity and limitation. When 3I ATLAS drifts slowly near its surface, these dualities become more pronounced. The planet becomes a stage, and the interstellar visitor a catalyst, amplifying our psychological projections and fears. Throughout history, Mars has been associated with human conflict. Its reddish color, reminiscent of blood, inspired the Roman god of war, and cultures across the globe saw in its hue portents of turmoil. This symbolic resonance is deep-seated. We often interpret celestial phenomena through the lens of our own fears and desires. When a mysterious object appears near Mars, these projections are triggered anew. The unknown is terrifying, and the red planet, silent and distant, becomes a canvas for our collective anxieties. At the same time, Mars inspires ambition. It represents humanity's next frontier, the dream of exploration, colonization, and perhaps one day, habitation. Space agencies and private ventures alike gaze toward it with longing, sending orbiters, rovers, and experimental landers. Each mission embodies hope, technological mastery, and the drive to overcome boundaries. In this sense, Mars mirrors the duality of humanity itself, the instinct to fear and the instinct to reach outward, to understand, to discover. Psychologically, we project narratives onto Mars because it is both familiar and alien. Its surface is mapped in detail, yet its history remains largely hidden. Scientists debate its geological evolution, search for chemical traces of water, and investigate seasonal methane fluctuations. Meanwhile, the public imagines civilizations, secret bases, or echoes of ancient life. When 3I-ATLAS slows near Mars, flaring with its eerie teal-green light, these projections intensify. The planet becomes a mirror of ourselves, reflecting curiosity and dread alike. Symbolically, Mars represents the unknown within us. It is distant enough to inspire imagination, but close enough to demand attention. Each anomaly Viking's microbial hints, the dust storms that rage across its surface, the mysterious flares of 3IA-TL ACE triggers reflection. Are these phenomena warnings, invitations, or simply mirrors of our human tendency to see meaning in patterns? Mars does not answer. It only reflects, silently amplifying the narratives we bring to it. 31ATLAS presence near Mars amplifies these reflections. The interstellar object becomes a mirror of our own uncertainties. Its deceleration mirrors our unease. Its flares echo our wonder. Its slow drift across the sky mirrors our contemplations of destiny, mortality, and cosmic insignificance. The planet's red sands, the thin atmosphere, and its long history of silence provide a stage on which our fears and ambitions play out. Observing Mars is not just about scientific inquiry, it is an exercise in self-examination. The symbolic weight extends to exploration itself. Mars embodies human daring, the desire to leave home, to traverse the void, and to confront the unknown. 3-1 Atlas, drifting past silently, reflects the same boldness in another form, an alien presence, distant yet near, unknowable yet unmistakably real. Together, they form a dialogue, one between humanity and the cosmos, the other between observer and observed, inviting contemplation on scale, purpose, and vulnerability. Mars also reminds us of our fragility. Unlike Earth, it offers no refuge from solar radiation, no breathable atmosphere, no abundant liquid water. Its harshness magnifies the stakes of exploration and of encountering the unknown. 31A-TLS, anomalous behaviors, its slowing trajectory, spectral flares, and unexplained emissions highlight how little control we have over our cosmic environment. In projecting fear onto Mars, we are projecting humility, acknowledging the limits of our knowledge and the enormity of forces beyond our comprehension. This psychological mirror is not a weakness. It is a tool. By examining why we fear, why we hope, and why we project narratives onto the red planet, we gain insight into ourselves. Mars does not need to answer our questions. Its value lies in its reflection of human curiosity, its capacity to evoke awe and anxiety in equal measure. And as 3IATLA drifts by, it participates in the same dialogue, amplifying the red planet's symbolic resonance, and reminding us that the cosmos observes as much as it is observed. And yet, as Mars reflected humanity's ambitions and fears, 3IATLAS continued to confound expectations. Its trajectory, flare, and mysterious deceleration hinted at a deeper, perhaps deliberate, set of patterns and intelligence, subtle and hidden, awaiting recognition. Humanity's fascination with the skies is ancient, a timeless dialogue that spans millennia. Long before telescopes, before spacecraft, even before written language, civilizations observed celestial phenomena and encoded them into myth, ritual, and architecture. Could 3I Atlas be more than a modern curiosity? Could it be a visitor whose presence has echoed through human memory, resurfacing as omens, myths, and legends? Consider the Babylonians, meticulous astronomers who recorded the movements of planets and stars with extraordinary precision. They assigned meaning to comets and meteors, interpreting sudden lights in the sky as divine messages or warnings of upheaval. Across the globe, Egyptians revered celestial patterns in their cosmology, building temples aligned with stars and sunrises, while Mayan civilizations created elaborate calendars to track planetary cycles. The universe, to them, was alive with signals, and humanity's role was to interpret, remember, and respond. Could some of these records contain encoded memories of interstellar visitors? A comet described as moving against the heavens might have been a misinterpreted passing object from beyond our solar system. A strange, unexpected flare in the night sky might have been the flash of a luminous object similar to 3IATLAS. While modern science separates myth from observation, perhaps these civilizations were chronicling events in a symbolic language, their stories carrying echoes of phenomena we are only now equipped to recognize. Speculation deepens when we consider the possibility of lost civilizations, human or otherwise, whose memory of such encounters vanished with time. Ancient cities buried beneath sand, flood, or volcanic ash may have housed astronomers or observers who documented anomalies in their own ways. Their knowledge, fragmented and encoded in myth, could hint at patterns of cosmic visitation repeated across centuries. 3-1 Atlas, slow and deliberate in its movement, may not be unique. Perhaps it is part of a series of objects that traverse interstellar space on long cycles, intersecting with Mars and Earth intermittently. Some theorists even extend the question to Mars itself. If the planet once supported life microbial, or potentially even complex, could its own history include cosmic visitors? Might ancient Martians, long extinct or hidden beneath the surface, have observed 3I Atlas in an earlier orbit, leaving traces of their awareness in geological or chemical records. While purely speculative, the thought underscores a haunting possibility that the cosmos has a memory, and civilizations, fragile and fleeting, have been witnesses to its rhythms long before our modern instruments could confirm them. The idea of cosmic memory also intersects with human psychology. Myths often encode extraordinary experiences as allegory, using symbols and narrative to preserve knowledge across generations. Tales of gods descending from the sky, celestial ships, or luminous beings may have roots in real observations of interstellar phenomena. Over time, the memory shifts from literal record to metaphorical wisdom. Could 3I Atlas' slow, enigmatic approach near Mars be a modern echo of these ancient encounters, a bridge linking humanity's earliest curiosity with our present scientific awareness? Even the concept of cycles comes into play. Many ancient cultures recognized repeating celestial events, whether the return of comets, planetary alignments, or eclipses. If 3IATLAS is part of a long-term interstellar orbit, its path could intersect with our solar system over centuries or millennia. Ancient observers, lacking the mathematics of orbital mechanics, might have described it in narrative terms, encoding its visitation in myth, while modern science now interprets it with physics and spectroscopy. This speculation is not mere fantasy. It is an exploration of human curiosity and cosmic scale. By examining myths, architecture, and historical records, researchers have occasionally found correlations with astronomical events. While causality cannot always be confirmed, patterns emerge that suggest humanity has been attentive to the sky far longer than we typically acknowledge. If 3IATLAS or similar objects have appeared before, their traces may already be written into the collective unconscious, waiting for modern eyes to recognize their significance. The possibility extends beyond storytelling. It challenges our sense of time and continuity. Civilization is fleeting, yet cosmic events unfold over eons. Objects like 3I Atlas traverse the galaxy on scales far beyond human lifetimes, yet intersect with our planet in moments that leave lasting impressions. Myths, rituals, and ancient records may be fragments of a larger story, glimpses of a universe whose memory is far older and deeper than our own. Perhaps the greatest intrigue lies in the overlap between memory and imagination. Ancient observers may have interpreted 3IATLA or its predecessors not merely as objects, but as agents, symbols, or guides. Their records, stylized and mythologized, transformed observation into narrative, blending awe and fear into enduring tales. In this way, a visitor becomes timeless, present across epochs, witnessed by generations whose understanding was limited, but whose attentiveness preserved the essence of the encounter. As we observe 3IATLAs today, with telescopes and spectrometers, we are both scientists and inheritors of this legacy. The object is simultaneously a modern anomaly and a potential echo of ancient cosmic memory. Its presence near Mars invites reflection not only on interstellar mechanics, but on the persistence of human wonder, our enduring desire to understand, remember, and find meaning in the vastness of space. And as we consider the possibility that ancient civilizations once witnessed similar visitors, the question emerges: what knowledge or warning might 3I Atlas carry this time? Are we, like our ancestors, observers of a fleeting cosmic memory, or is the universe offering something entirely new, something that could reshape our understanding of life, intelligence, and our place among the stars? As 3IATLAS drifts slowly past Mars, there is a disquieting sense that it is not merely moving through space by chance. Its deceleration, its flare of teal-green light, its precise approach, these anomalies suggest intention. Could the object be waiting, observing, acting with a purpose that transcends our understanding? For the first time, scientists and philosophers alike must confront a chilling possibility. 3I Atlas may not be inert. It may have a mission, a design, or even awareness. To consider purpose in the cosmos is both fascinating and terrifying. On Earth, purpose implies intention, consciousness, or at least a predictable pattern of behavior. When applied to an interstellar object, the term stretches human imagination. What would it mean for a cosmic traveler to pause near a planet like Mars? Is it scanning, analyzing, or simply existing in a state of readiness? Each possibility challenges assumptions about life, intelligence, and the vastness of time and space. The idea is not purely speculative. In our own solar system, humanity has long considered the concept of surveillance probes, mechanisms designed to observe, gather information, and report across interstellar distances. The notion appears frequently in science fiction, yet it is grounded in a logical extrapolation of technology. An intelligent species capable of creating durable, autonomous probes could, in theory, monitor planets, ecosystems, or civilizations without direct contact. 31ATLAS strange behavior invites the unsettling question: could we be witnessing such a probe? Unlike natural interstellar debris, 3I Atlas behaves with apparent deliberation. Its trajectory is not chaotic. It adjusts, slows, and maintains a course remarkably close to Mars' vicinity. The flare of energy it emits could be incidental, but its timing coincides with proximity to a planet of particular scientific interest. Could these anomalies represent information gathering or activation? Could the object be capable of sensing chemical signatures, magnetic fields, or even signs of life? The universe, normally indifferent, suddenly seems purposeful. History adds another layer of unease. Ancient civilizations recorded sudden lights, comets, and strange phenomena with reverence or fear. Myths describe watchers in the sky, emissaries of gods or celestial intelligence. Could 3I-ATLAS be part of a pattern that has repeated over millennia? Visitors, deliberate or inadvertent, whose presence leaves traces in both observation and memory. Its pause near Mars might not be an isolated event, but part of a longer cosmic cycle, inscrutable and patient, beyond human lifespans and comprehension. Scientists caution against anthropomorphizing interstellar objects, yet the behavior is difficult to dismiss. Non-gravitational forces outgassing, radiation pressure, or magnetic interactions could explain aspects of its motion, but they do not fully account for the apparent precision, timing, and energy emission. Every anomaly invites speculation. Perhaps 3I Atlas is inert, but engineered to respond subtly to planetary environments, a probe designed to operate autonomously over centuries. Or perhaps it is alive in a way we do not yet understand, observing and interacting with its surroundings in slow, deliberate rhythms. The very concept is chilling. Humanity, perched on the edge of knowledge, must consider that the cosmos is not merely a backdrop for our curiosity. Objects like 3I-ATLAS may act with awareness, subtly influencing events or gathering intelligence without revealing themselves overtly. A pause near Mars could be a prelude, a reconnaissance, or a signal that we are not the first, nor the only, observers in this region of space. The psychological impact is profound. Humans are instinctively attuned to observation. The idea of being watched, even on a planetary scale, triggers deep unease. For centuries, we have imagined ourselves alone, or at least unmonitored, in the vastness of the cosmos. 31DALS challenges that assumption. Its pause, precise and enigmatic, becomes a mirror of our deepest fears. The recognition that intelligence may operate on timescales, scales and purposes far beyond our comprehension. Philosophers have long suggested that the universe is indifferent. But what if it is not? What if there exist entities or constructs capable of patient, methodical observation? What would their purpose be? Preservation? Curiosity? Containment? The object near Mars, silent yet active, forces these questions into the forefront of scientific and existential thought. The line between science and philosophy blurs as data intersects with imagination and speculation. Even if 3i Atlas is not conscious, the implications of its behavior remain unnerving. A probe, engineered by an unknown intelligence, operating autonomously for millennia, could serve purposes that have nothing to do with Earth, Mars, or humanity, but its presence alone changes our context. Observation, measurement, and interaction may occur without intervention, leaving us unaware until we detect subtle anomalies, just as we now detect its unusual motion and flaring energy. The terror is in the unknown. Purpose implies design, foresight, and intention. The cosmos, when perceived as purposeful, becomes a participant rather than a stage. We are not merely observers. We are the observed, part of a narrative that may have begun long before human civilization and will continue long after. The pause near Mars, however brief, is a message in itself. The universe is not silent, and perhaps it never has been. And as 3i Atlas continues its enigmatic drift past Mars, the world watches, analyzes, and wonders. Could this be a momentary pause in cosmic observation, or the opening of a longer dialogue, one that humanity is only beginning to perceive, and may only understand in fragments? The night sky stretches endlessly, an expanse of deep indigo punctuated by the cold gleam of distant suns. Each star represents a potential world, a cradle of life, or perhaps a civilization striving toward understanding. Yet, in all this vastness, the cosmos is remarkably quiet. Despite decades of listening, of scanning for radio signals, of peering through our most powerful telescopes, the universe offers no clear response. It is a silence so profound that it both humbles and terrifies. 3i Atlas drifts silently near Mars, a lone interstellar traveler, and in its presence, the stillness of space feels even more pronounced. It is as if the object is a messenger, or perhaps a relic, a witness to events beyond human reckoning. Its anomalous behavior, subtle light emissions, and deliberate trajectory raise the possibility that the universe is not empty, only uncommunicative or selective in its conversation. The silence we perceive may be less an absence and more a filter, revealing only what is allowed or only what can survive to reach us. The silence of the stars is a central mystery in astrophysics and philosophy. Fermi's paradox, the question of why we have not yet observed evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence, looms large. Perhaps civilizations are fragile, unable to endure the natural and self-inflicted challenges that accompany technological development. Nuclear proliferation, resource depletion, or environmental collapse could prevent societies from reaching interstellar awareness. The vast gulf of space itself acts as a sieve, filtering out all but the most resilient or fortunate. 3i Atlas then could be a remnant, a surviving fragment of a civilization that has long vanished. It may carry information, energy, or purpose across the void, an echo of life that once was, a testament to survival against impossible odds. Or perhaps it is a warning, a silent indication of what civilizations may face if they overreach or fail to navigate the perils of advanced existence. Its deliberate presence near Mars is unsettling precisely because it forces reflection. The universe is not indifferent in its silence. It is revealing, by omission, the fragility of life on a cosmic scale. The silence also invites speculation about purpose. 3i Atlas may not be a warning or a relic, but an observer. Some theorists suggest that interstellar probes or wandering entities could monitor civilizations from afar, collecting information for reasons we cannot comprehend. Its trajectory near Mars could be coincidental or deliberate. In either case, the absence of contact, the quiet pause, mirrors the broader cosmic silence. Civilizations may exist, but they are cautious, patient, or extinct before they can make themselves known. History offers a haunting parallel. Earth's own civilizations have risen and fallen, leaving traces detectable only to those who look carefully. The echoes of the Maya, the Indus Valley, or the Roman Empire are faint but undeniable. Now imagine this pattern repeated across countless star systems. Civilizations reaching toward the stars only to vanish quietly, leaving behind signals too subtle or fleeting for detection. In this context, 3IATLAS may be a fragment of memory, a lingering artifact from a universe that has already claimed countless societies. The silence is not merely scientific, it is philosophical. It challenges our assumptions about progress, longevity, and cosmic relevance. Perhaps the universe is not silent because life is rare, but because life is ephemeral. We may be privileged observers at a moment of extraordinary fragility, witnessing anomalies like 3I Atlas that survive long enough to intersect with human awareness. The cosmos reminds us that observation is fleeting and understanding even more so. In this reflection, Mars gains added significance. The red planet, barren yet full of history, becomes a symbol of both curiosity and fragility. 31ATLAS, drifting past, emphasizes the scale of time and consequence. What we perceive as anomalies or threats may, in a broader context, be natural rhythms of a universe indifferent to ambition, yet alive with traces of civilizations long gone. Silence in this light is not absence, it is testimony. There is also beauty in this quiet. The stars, countless and radiant, provide a canvas on which humanity can project wonder, imagination, and inquiry. The silence allows contemplation, reflection, and humility. 31ATLAS, in its slow, deliberate passage, accentuates this cosmic quiet, reminding us of the vastness of space and the limits of our perception. Its presence transforms the void from emptiness into a stage for mystery, curiosity, and philosophical meditation. And yet, the silence is not comforting. It is a challenge. It compels humans to look harder, measure more precisely, and consider possibilities that stretch beyond immediate comprehension. It asks, if civilizations are fragile, what can we learn from this wandering interstellar visitor? What lessons does it offer about longevity, observation, or purpose? The stillness between the stars is filled with questions, and 3I Atlas is a rare, tangible connection to those questions, an invitation to ponder, speculate, and wonder. As 3IATLAS drifts ever onward, the universe returns to silence, leaving humanity to confront its own fragility, curiosity, and hope. Perhaps this visitor is a warning, a relic, or simply an observer. And perhaps, in the quiet of the stars, we will finally learn to listen, not just for signals we can detect, but for the subtle echoes of existence itself. The universe is vast beyond comprehension, a tapestry of light and shadow stretching across unfathomable distances. Each star is a point of origin, each planet a potential story, each interstellar wanderer a mystery. Among these mysteries drifts 3IATLAS, a silent visitor near Mars, whose trajectory, energy flares, and enigmatic behavior defies simple explanation. Whether natural, alive, or artificial, its presence forces a quiet reckoning, a reminder that despite all our knowledge, the cosmos retains its secrets, and humanity remains a humble observer. We are accustomed to certainty, to mapping, measuring, and predicting. Science thrives on patterns, repeatable experiments, and evidence that fits neatly into theories. Yet 3I Atlas challenges every expectation. Its anomalous deceleration, its teal-green flare, its deliberate proximity to Mars, all of it resists tidy categorization. In that resistance lies a profound lesson. The universe does not exist solely for our understanding. It is larger, stranger, and more patient than we often allow ourselves to imagine. Perhaps it is natural, a shard of a distant star system, a fragment of ice, rock, or metallic matter traversing the galaxy. Its behavior might be explained someday by physics we have yet to discover, subtle radiation forces, interstellar winds, or gravitational anomalies. But even if 3I Atlas is a product of chance, it embodies the extraordinary. Ordinary matter, shaped by unimaginable forces over billions of years, can still evoke awe, fear, and wonder. The natural world, across cosmic scales, is capable of astonishment beyond human fabrication. Or perhaps it is alive. A dormant interstellar organism, a self-contained entity drifting through space, responding to planetary cues and environmental stimuli, its energy emissions a subtle signal, its deceleration a form of cosmic sensing. In that case, 3I Atlas reminds us that life may take forms beyond earthly imagination, intelligence, and awareness not bound to planets, atmospheres, or familiar chemistry. Its silent voyage becomes a lesson in humility. The universe may be populated with consciousness we cannot perceive, existing in rhythms and patterns that elude even our most sensitive instruments. The possibility is intoxicating and unsettling. Life, in its most unexpected manifestations, might have always existed among the stars, waiting for an observer like humanity to notice. And yet, its presence is quiet, non-intrusive, patient, emphasizing not confrontation, but observation. In this way, 3ITLA reflects our own curiosity, mirroring our desire to know, to witness, and to understand without demanding immediate answers. Or perhaps it is artificial, a probe, an emissary, or a relic of an ancient civilization whose technology surpasses our comprehension. If so, 3IATLAS embodies purpose on a scale that humans rarely consider. Centuries, millennia, or even eons of planning, observation, and patient execution. Its trajectory, designed or evolved to interact subtly with Mars' environment, raises questions about intelligence, surveillance, and cosmic patience. A deliberate visitor, silent, precise, enigmatic, confronts us with the unsettling notion that we are being observed, measured, and catalogued, yet in a manner that does not violate our space, leaving only traces, anomalies, and reflections. All three possibilities, natural, alive, artificial, converge in their effect on the human psyche. 31ATLAS teaches patience, humility, and the necessity of wonder. Its presence defies simplistic narratives, encouraging us to embrace uncertainty. The object's slow drift, its silent observation, and its flare of light are a meditation on scale, time, and perspective. In the cosmic theater, humans are both audience and participant, and objects like 3I remind us that the play is far older, far grander, and far stranger than our brief acts upon the stage. There is poetry in the pause near Mars, the red planet, bearing centuries of observation, mythology, and ambition, becomes a mirror not only of humanity's fears and desires, but also of our hope, curiosity, and resilience. 31ATLAS, whether it carries intention, energy, or mere matter, completes the tableau. A visitor from the void, prompting reflection, speculation, and humility. Its journey encourages us to imagine the unfathomable, to consider intelligence and life in unfamiliar forms, and to acknowledge the fragility and persistence of our own existence in the cosmic expanse. Even the absence of definitive answers is instructive. The universe's silence, broken occasionally by anomalies like 3IATLA, reinforces the notion that understanding is provisional, contingent, and evolving. Every observation is an invitation to look closer, think deeper, and wonder without the expectation of closure. We are reminded that the cosmos is not merely a stage for human knowledge, but a partner in inquiry, guiding us toward questions we have not yet imagined. In the end, 3I Atlas is a reminder that all is as valuable as understanding. The object's enigmatic presence evokes curiosity, humility, and reflection, not only on what it is, but on what we are capable of imagining. Whether a fragment of interstellar ice, a living entity, or a deliberate probe. It inspires contemplation about time, intelligence, fragility, and endurance. It teaches that the universe is not a solved puzzle, but an open story, inviting each observer to participate in the act of noticing, questioning, and marveling. Perhaps this is the most enduring lesson. In the presence of the unknown, we are reminded of our place, tiny, ephemeral, yet capable of wonder. 31ATLAS will continue its journey, drifting silently past Mars and into the depths of space. We may never fully understand its nature, trajectory, or purpose, and yet its passage leaves a gift, a profound awareness that the cosmos remains mysterious, infinite, and deeply humbling. So we watch and we wonder whether 3IATLAS is natural, alive, or artificial. It reminds us that the universe is alive with possibility, patient with time, and rich in secrets beyond our comprehension. In the quiet of the stars, in the red sands of Mars, and in the gentle glow of a distant interstellar visitor, we find both humility and awe meditation on existence itself. And in that meditation, perhaps, lies the true reward of observation, the unending wonder of the unknown.